Picture this moment in your life. You've been faithfully making your mental picture. Every morning and evening, you've been visualizing your desire with clarity and feeling. You've followed the principles we've discussed. You've held your vision steady in your mind, and then it hits you. That nagging question that creeps into every sincere student's consciousness. Should I be doing something more? Should I be hustling and grinding to make this happen? Or should I simply wait and trust? This confusion, my dear friend, is one of the most common stumbling blocks on the path of conscious creation. Today, I want to share with you what I learned through years of study and practice, the delicate art of knowing when to act and when to wait. Let me be clear from the start. The mental picture work we do is not passive dreaming. It is not sitting in a chair hoping the universe will drop your desires into your lap. But neither is it anxious striving that comes from fear and doubt. There's a middle path, a way of moving through the world that honors both the invisible creative power within you and the practical requirements of physical existence. I call this moving under direction. When I was seeking the $20,000 to study with Thomas Troward, I didn't simply visualize the money and then sit idle. But I also didn't frantically chase after every possible opportunity. Instead, I learned to listen, to wait for the gentle nudge of inspiration, to recognize when the same power that had given me the desire was now showing me the way. The key lies in understanding this fundamental truth. The same universal mind that plants the seed of desire in your consciousness will also provide the pathway for its fulfillment. Your role is not to force the pathway into existence. Your role is to become a good listener. Now, how do we distinguish between two very different types of action? The action that comes from fear and the action that comes from faith. Forced action feels like struggle. It comes with tension in your body and anxiety in your mind. You feel like you must push and strain and make things happen through sheer will. There's a desperate quality to it. A feeling that if you don't do this particular thing in this particular way, your desire will never manifest. This kind of action is born from doubt, not faith. It suggests that you don't truly trust the creative power working through you. It's the ego's attempt to control outcomes through physical effort alone. I remember during my own journey, there were moments when I felt I should write letters to wealthy acquaintances asking for loans. The very thought made my stomach tighten with anxiety. This was forced action, and I recognized it as such. Inspired action, on the other hand, feels entirely different. It comes with a sense of peace and rightness. It feels natural, almost effortless. You might describe it as a gentle urge, a creative idea that won't leave you alone, or an opportunity that seems to flow into your path without resistance. When inspired action calls, you don't feel desperate or anxious, you feel guided. There's a quality of knowing that accompanies it. Not the knowing of the logical mind, but the deeper knowing of the spirit. The day the avenue for my $20,000 revealed itself, it came as such an inspiration. I was walking, reflecting on that beautiful truth that my mind is a center of divine operation. Suddenly, from within me came the thought, I am all the substance there is. This wasn't forced thinking. It arose naturally, and with it came a complete relaxation of all tension. That very evening, when I made my mental picture, I noticed a possible avenue I had never considered before. It appeared in my consciousness as gently as a flower opening to the sun. This was inspired action calling. So how do you recognize when inspiration is speaking to you? First, pay attention to persistent ideas, not the anxious thoughts that cycle through your mind born of worry, but the quiet, recurring suggestions that feel peaceful even if they seem impractical or unusual. Second, notice opportunities that present themselves with unusual ease. When doors open smoothly, when introductions happen naturally, when resources appear without strain, this is often the creative power arranging circumstances for you. Third, trust the feeling of rightness. Your body knows the difference between fear-based action and faith-based action. Inspired action feels calm in your solar plexus, the center where intuition speaks most clearly. Fourth, observe the quality of your thoughts. When you're moving in inspired action, your mental picture becomes clearer and more vivid. When you're forcing, your visualization often becomes strained and unclear. Here's what I want you to understand deeply. After you've done your mental work, after you've made your picture and held it with faith, your primary job is watchful waiting. Not passive waiting, but alert, responsive waiting. Think of a skilled sailor. They don't try to create the wind. They watch for it, feel for it, and when it comes, they adjust their sails accordingly. The wind is the inspiration. Your daily actions are the sails. This means you continue with your regular responsibilities. You show up to your work, you care for your family, you tend to your daily affairs. But you do so with an inner awareness, listening for the guidance that will surely come. When I finally received Troward's letter asking about the meaning of that verse from Revelation, I knew immediately this was my moment. Not because I understood the verse, but because something within me recognized this as the doorway I had been waiting for. I didn't frantically search libraries or exhaust myself with worry. Instead, I remained alert and open, asking my question to various people I encountered. And when the answer came through that French astrologer, I recognized it instantly. This recognition itself was a form of inspired action. Let me give you some practical guidance for your own journey. After you've made your mental picture, adopt what I call the attitude of expectant attention. Go about your day with inner ears open. Be alert to unexpected conversations, unusual opportunities, or persistent ideas that feel peaceful rather than anxious. When something calls to your attention, pause before acting. Ask yourself, does this feel forced or does it feel natural? Am I acting from fear of missing out or from a quiet certainty that this is my next step? If it's truly inspired action, it will feel right even if it seems small or unrelated to your ultimate goal. Trust these small steps. They are often the very means by which the creative power orchestrates larger changes in your circumstances. Remember, you are not responsible for figuring out how your desire will manifest. Your job is to hold the mental picture and respond to inspiration when it comes. The how is the work of the universal mind operating through you. Sometimes inspired action means making a phone call. Sometimes it means taking a different route home. Sometimes it means having a conversation with a stranger. These actions may seem insignificant to your logical mind, but they are the very threads from which the fabric of manifestation is woven. There will be times when you're uncertain whether an impulse is inspired or forced. In these moments, choose stillness. Return to your mental picture, hold it peacefully, and ask for clarity. The right action will become apparent when the time is right. What about when nothing seems to be happening? When no obvious opportunities present themselves? This is when your faith is being refined. Continue your mental work. Continue your watchful waiting. The creative power is always working, even when you can't see evidence of it. During the 2 months I waited for Troward's final letter, there were many days when nothing seemed to be progressing. But I held to my vision and remained open to guidance. The very fact that I was led to ask the right question at the right time shows how perfectly the power was working, even in apparent silence. Trust the process. Trust the power within you. Trust that the same intelligence that knows how to grow a flower from a seed knows how to manifest your heartfelt desire. Your mind truly is a center of divine operation. When you align with this truth, action becomes effortless cooperation with life itself. You stop pushing against the river and begin flowing with its natural current toward your destination. The greatest freedom comes when you realize you don't have to figure everything out. You don't have to force outcomes through exhausting effort. You simply need to stay connected to your vision and move when the spirit moves you. This is the dance between the invisible and the visible, between faith and works, between being and doing. Master this dance, and you become a conscious co-creator with the power that moves the stars and grows the flowers. Your next step is simple. Hold your mental picture clearly. Listen for inspiration, and when it comes, follow it with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are being guided by infinite wisdom. The power is already within you. The pathway is already being prepared. Your role is to trust, to listen, and to act when love, not fear, calls you forward. This is how we bridge the gap between the world of mind and the world of form. This is how we become active participants in our own miraculous unfolding.